Good afternoon, everyone. On the floor, we're about to consider a rescue plan for the original big three automakers. I think the plan on the floor, I just think we can do better. Republicans will offer an alternative that has hard benchmarks, not the soft benchmarks we see in the majority's bill, and also a bill that will ensure private sector money that comes in to support these auto companies. And if we're truly going to have hard benchmarks, we really do believe that these automakers need help, but they need to help themselves. To the extent that they have hard deadlines, I think they can attract private capital. And I do think there's a role that the government can play in terms of ensuring that private capital as it comes in. But to talk more about it, let me introduce Mike Pence, our new conference chairman.
Thank you, Leader. The domestic automotive industry in America is in a financial crisis. House Republicans recognize this. Inaction is not an option. But the American people know we cannot borrow and spend and bail our way back to a healthy domestic automotive economy. The Republican alternative that was presented today, and that we would welcome the opportunity to offer and debate on the floor, is an alternative that would create hard benchmarks for fundamental restructuring and reorganization of the domestic automotive industry. Secondly, it would create the mechanism where those changes could be facilitated, either through a prepackaged bankruptcy or another mechanism utilizing the existing jurisdiction of the American court system. And thirdly, Republicans recognize that financing is scarce during these times of credit crisis. And so we have proposed that the Congress provide not a bailout, but a backstop to encourage the kind of debtor-in-possession financing that is traditionally available in a reorganization supervised by the courts. We just simply believe that it is more appropriate to look to the private sector for the resources to finance a recovery in Detroit. The proper role of the Congress would be to facilitate the use of private resources and capital rather than looking to the American taxpayer first to try and finance what would simply be a down payment on a much larger scale financial bailout in Detroit. And so we've offered this proposal. It is the first installment in our effort to demonstrate in the 111th Congress, as we close out the 110th Congress, that Republicans are not going to be the party of no. We're going to offer positive alternatives to the challenges facing this nation, but they're going to be grounded in the principles of fiscal discipline, and they're going to be grounded in a commitment to putting the interest of American taxpayers first. Mr. Leader?
Questions?
Frustrated at all by the process that it looks like an hour, 2 hours of debate? It doesn't look like there's going to be much opportunity for amendment. It seems like it's all happening.
As the most deliberative body in the world, sometimes that gets drawn into question when we speed up a process as fast as this has been sped up. I'm not sure that very many members really know what's in this bill. But I think, as Mike pointed out, we can do better. There is a crisis in America, a crisis in the auto industry. Clearly, Republicans and Democrats here in Washington want to be of help. It's just that we think that our idea would be a better approach in terms of helping American auto workers and helping the taxpayers.
So why is it realistic to think you can get private capital injected into these car companies when nobody's willing to lend now? I mean, and then if they go into bankruptcy, they say their business picture is going to be even worse.
Well, I think there's two reasons. What this basically is a prepackaged reorganization, and with hard benchmarks in the bill, I believe that it will draw the attention of the private sector. Much more likely that the private sector would participate with hard benchmarks and the fact that the federal government would be there to ensure those loans.
Well, if I may add to that, Leader, there's a proposal in the Democrat and the White House bill for the establishment of a car czar. What Republicans are asserting is we have institutions in our society that exists for the purposes of helping companies reorganize during times of crisis. A pre-packaged bankruptcy and reorganization is the real antidote and the real mechanism for what ails our domestic automotive manufacturers. And debtor-in-possession financing, while it is slowed down in the midst of the credit crisis today, we believe with a slight backstop of a government guarantee of up to 50% of default during the first 3 months of next year, that would unleash an enormous amount of capital that is frozen in this economy to flow back to finance that recovery. We just simply believe we ought to look to the strength of the American economy for the resources that Detroit needs to recover, and not first to the American taxpayer.
Thanks, everybody.